Welcome to the Career and Technical Education Podcast. I'm Brandon Grace.
And I'm Randall Huss.
And today we have two very special guests over from the LubbockISD TV station, Elizabeth Roup and Nathan Edgar. How are y'all today?
Good. How are y'all?
Yeah, doing good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, awesome. So, y'all, within Lubbock ISD, we have a unique situation, and not every school district has a TV station. So, kind of give us a little bit of history of LISD TV as a whole, and where we're going now.
So Lubbock ISD TV started in 1985 and has been going strong ever since. We have a great history of producing content both for the school district and teaching students, audio video production and providing a path for them to enter the media world. We like to continue that journey.
Whenever we talk about doing the you're talking about producing content. So do y'all produce the content? Students produce the content? How does that work?
Right. So we have a 24/7 cable access channel, and all the content that goes on that station is produced by primarily our students, but our staff as well. So everything is either teaching students to be on TV, to produce TV, or feature students, or a combination of both. And everything there is highlighting the awesome things that are going on inside the Lubbock Independent School District.
So, Nathan, you're talking, we'll get to Elizabeth in a second, too. So give us a little bit about your background. Everybody that works over there that's staff for LISD TV is professional, comes from somewhere in industry. So kind of give us a little background on you and what makes you unique for what you do.
So I guess I'll just mainly talk about the reason why I came to Lubbock ISD TV, but it's really sports production. So I worked at a TV station when I was in college and actually came up to Lubbock to do some high school basketball playoffs. And some different circumstances that day, I ended up meeting the director of sports broadcasting at the time for Texas Tech University. And he was like, "Hey, move to Lubbock. I'll give you a job in sports broadcasting." I was like, "Oh, that sounds fantastic. Let's do it." And when I finally moved to Lubbock 2 years after that, I called him and he stuck me on a camera for a football game, and I haven't looked back since. And so really ever since 2009, I've been working for either Texas Tech or ESPN, ABC, Fox, just a variety of network linear TV, doing sports broadcasting from camera to audio and graphics and directing and all sorts of stuff. And so I came over to Lubbock ISD TV to run the sports production truck.
Talk for a second about the difference between coming from that commercial side, out there in the industry, to education. What was that transition like for you?
It really wasn't too bad because since I was working with Texas Tech University, I was kind of teaching college students how to do it as well. So after I kind of got started with that, then I was kind of teaching them because most of the students that they had at Tech were coming to Tech not having any experience in it as well. And so the transition was really easy. It was just kind of going to a younger generation, going from college students down to high school students. So that transition was really easy, but I really have a love for live sports broadcast, and Lubbock ISD does it better than anybody. And I knew that before I came over here. I knew that they were top of the line, and now I kind of have a hand in leading that and teaching students. And we've had some incredible students who have come through our program who are now working on production trucks full time, traveling around the country, working Super Bowls, working NBA finals, doing some pretty amazing things, all because of what they learned in high school at Lubbock ISD TV.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I've seen you work. We've worked together for a long time, but it is pretty crazy to see, some of the students that have gone through the program and where they're going now. Elizabeth, tell us a little bit about where you came from and how you started doing all this mess.
So I didn't come as much from the industry, but I came from the program itself. I started out when I was a sophomore in high school. They made an announcement at Lubbock High, and they said, if anybody wants to come run cameras for our football games, come check out the TV studio and we'll talk to you. And my best friend and I at the time came out, and I was in French class, she was in Spanish class. We both came out and we were like, that'd be fun, let's do it. And so the rest of it is history. So we were able to, finish out our sophomore, junior, and senior years with the program, I was able to work through college, and I've been here ever since. So I truly think this place is my home. Now, through college and after college, before I started teaching full time, I too was able to work with Texas Tech Athletics and have done that. So I got industry experience there. But this place is my home, and just being a part of it is just something, a feeling that I can't ever replace anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, it really is. And I mean, I've seen you grow through it because I was working for the TV station at the time whenever you were coming through as a student, and it's been awesome to see you grow into the industry and become the one of the top AV people in the city now. So, welcome.
Thanks.
You've reached it. So, whenever we talk about like the studio and stuff like that, it all started really over at like Dunbar Straight in a small studio and just a normal AV program. Tell us about the studio we have now.
Oh man, the studio we have now, like it's something. I think sometimes when we say we have a studio, I think people think like, oh, they have a classroom that they made a wall that's a studio. No, y'all, we have a full television studio, and it's been several years now, but a few years back, KCBD had there was a plane that crashed into their tower, and long story short, they couldn't broadcast out of their studio, so they called us, and they were able to broadcast from our studio because it's just the equipment is just what they needed to be able to put the news on that night. So they stayed there over the weekend, and I think into Monday. It was like a Saturday night. I was at a Tech game that night, and I think it was into Monday or Tuesday that they worked out of our studio. So it's just like if you go to KCBD or your local news station, we have everything that they have too. So the fact that our students get to work with all this equipment on a daily basis is just incredible.
So our studio and our truck as well. I always tell people when I'm talking about the truck that the truck that we use, it's the exact same equipment and the exact same setup that an ESPN truck is going to use. So when a big, huge production truck comes in for a huge Texas Tech, football game or whatever, we're using the exact same things. It's just I tell people it's a little bit smaller scale. Whereas for a big ESPN game, they might have 12, 15 cameras. I'm only using 4 or 5. But they're the same cameras. It's just a smaller amount. So everything kind of grows as you get into it. But, I mean, a 10th grader in our program is going to use the exact same things that a professional is using for any game.
A sophomore in our program or a freshman in our program, because freshmen can come take our class at the ATC. And it's one of the only ones that freshmen can come to the ATC to take.
Right. And so going back, studio, going into truck now, that's my next segue into it. The truck is very special, especially for a school district. It's something pretty unique. Kind of explain what the truck is, and some people who don't know what a live sports truck is, kind of explain what it does.
Yeah. So the production truck is really just it's a studio on wheels is kind of what we refer to it as, and anything that you could think of that you might need to televise an event has to be on that truck. So all the cameras, all the microphones, all the cables, we got to turn the cameras on. They got to have power. They got to send the video signal, the audio signal, intercom communication so that we can communicate with everyone. Anything that you might need to put on a TV show, we have to have on that truck. So when we travel, we can go anywhere and we can televise anything we need to wherever we are. So it's pretty much everything that we might have in our home studio that we're in all the time has to find its way onto the truck and has to have a home there so we can do it. So it really is. It's just a really large studio on wheels that we can take anywhere we want, and we can broadcast any type of event that needs to be broadcast out of it.
So having like this ability to go anywhere, you'll have the opportunity to produce some pretty awesome events. Doing sporting events, but you also do everything from like meetings to doing charity events to all these different stuff. And the experiences that the students get from that is, I mean, I don't know of any other district that really can, especially when it comes to doing like really true to life, true to the industry, experience. There'll be other ones that may bring out, a cart that has a few things on it, but rolling out a whole live production unit it's something that a lot of, I mean, it can really prepare those students for what's going to happen in industry, which is pretty awesome.
100%. We've had students who they've left our program and within days of graduating from high school are working on a professional truck, doing professional sporting events, because they've had 2-3 years of experience in our class. We've had college programs before tell us that our program is better than their college program, because there's not very, very, very few high schools in the country have anything similar to what we have. Like I said, they can come out, and we've talked to people and they're like, oh, we do sporting events too. And I'm like, oh, how do you do it? Oh, we pull an iPad out and we use an iPad. We don't use iPads.
No.
We use professional cameras like that they're using for the Super Bowl. We're using those exact same cameras. And so, yeah, it's hard to replicate for sure. It's definitely something very unique to Lubbock ISD that there's not many high school students in the country that are getting to do that. Very few colleges around that can do that as well.
You know, and it's definitely one of those things that, like you said, they're getting those industry hands-on experience with the equipment that they're using out in the field. We've talked about you guys' background with industry. We talked about the equipment that we use. What about those industry partners? Because as Lubbock ISD TV has grown, it started small.
For sure. And, the industry partners are truly how we got to where we are. Because I talk to teachers from around the district and around the state, and they're like, we're starting out. How do we get to where you are? Or they want to go from where they're at to where we're at right now. And some of it just takes time. But like, how did we get the truck? Well, we had a bus before the truck, and good times in the bus.
The bus was like, I mean, it's still nostalgic. I mean, it's used as like the pumpkin patch bus now, but it was like, it was literally a short bus that was converted into a mobile production unit. It was so cool. I mean,
so it did the job. That's how I got started in high school. Will forever be part of my heart there. But our industry partners on our advisory board saw what we were doing and like, okay, you need an upgrade. And on our advisory board, we had a go-getter, the Texas Tech Athletics director of broadcasting there, and somebody from one of the local stations who's still on our advisory board. They were like, okay, we got you. And they went to our school board and they sold it to our school board, and it was part of some bond and some part of a settlement fund. So it didn't come out of our budget, but they sold it to all the right people and they did the advocating. And without them, I mean, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So if I have a piece of advice for anybody that wants to do this, is like, you have to get industry people on your side and tell them have them share the benefits and, why this is important. So without those industry partners, we wouldn't have the truck.
Well, and a little bit of timeline with it, like Elizabeth said earlier, the TV station started in 1985. The first game ever done with the bus was 1998. So that's 13 years after the station started. And then the current truck that we have now, that came around like 2013-ish, maybe. And so from 98 to 2013-ish, you're using the bus, and it's kind of a makeshift. It is what it is until that point in time when you get, really a state-of-the-art production truck that very, very unique to a high school setting.
It takes a lot of hard work. Too, we can't say that, and my team is just incredible, but
that's awesome. Yeah. So whenever we're talking about the truck and bus and all that stuff, about how many events do y'all do a year, do you think?
So it's typically somewhere in the 60-ish range. Mainly we're doing sporting events, but we do our band extravaganza, band performances. We have done things for other people. We've done concerts. We've done orchestra concerts, choir concerts, full, like, multiple bands coming in and out type thing. We've done student government debates and election debates before. Lots of things. Mainly it's sporting events, but it's probably 60-ish a year.
We do all the graduations for all of LISD, so yes.
And students are involved with all these too, right?
Yeah, we tell students, you come to our class on a Tuesday, Wednesday, first day of school. If we have a football game Friday, you're getting on a camera. You may only have 2 or 3 days of experience in our class, but you're going to get on a camera that first week and you're going to start working.
Trial by fire.
Absolutely.
We love nothing more than if enough students show up that they can do every single position, and we can just watch.
Right.
That's the best part to me, is when we have students doing it all and they're working with each other, they're talking to each other, they're learning those communication skills, those workplace skills that they'll need, and we can just sit back and like, hey, yo, good job.
I tell them I know how to do TV. I want you to learn how to do TV.
Right.
So I'm going to teach you, and then I'm going to let you do it. You're going to have to make mistakes. You're going to have to learn. You're going to have to kind of see how the process goes. But doing that when you're a 10th, 11th grader in high school, so much easier than doing it when you're 25, 30 and you're trying to get a job. You're going to be in a lot better place.
Yep.
Speaking of the student experience, so Elizabeth, you mentioned that ninth graders can actually come over here. For those of you guys listening, our Career Center here typically is 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. But some of our programs, a couple of our programs, including LISD TV, will allow freshmen to come. So what does that experience look like? A kid comes over here as a freshman. What does their career, their 4 years in your program look like?
So this is something that we're just starting out. So if they come into audio video production, and they get a solid year there. We're excited to be, and typically after that, they'll go into audio video 2 practicum, and then we'll get to add a second year practicum course, which will be the third year is an internal internship with us. So they work with us, they're inside. The fourth year we'll go get them an internship, and it'll be like a work study. So they'll, report to us, and then they'll go work for KCBD or KMAC or one of the ad agencies, or, wherever best fits them. So by the time they graduate, they could have a lot of experience under their belt. One of the things that I'm excited about is that we're also adding another course to our what's it called? Our
course offering.
There you go. We're starting to offer digital audio production.
Oh, right.
And that's something that freshmen can't take, but sophomores can take. So a freshman could take audio video production year 1, and then year 2, depending on how many classes they have, they could either do digital audio or they could do audio video production, maybe both. That would be awesome. And the audio course is going to be all audio all the time. And they're going to do a deep dive on mics and audio and recording and mixing and all kinds of things. So I'm really excited to see what that course will get to do.
Podcast as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Right?
Heck yeah.
Love it.
How many students go through your program in a year?
Right now we're averaging about 100.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
So on top of the classes and stuff, y'all do a lot of extracurricular stuff besides, football and all these events. Y'all do some student organizations and things. Talk about what your students do and how they do in those.
We're of course involved with Skills USA. It's getting to be that time. Yay,
Right.
skills.
Yay.
And so our students
So
will do
funny.
competitions in digital cinema production, video news production, television video production. I think that's what it's still called. Audio radio production. So those are the 4 main contests with that. So kind of a variety of contests there. We're also involved with a Student Television Network, and they're working on achieving their CTSO status there. But that is just programs just like ours all across the country. And it's a convention for TV programs, for film programs across the country, and it's just phenomenal to see our kids compete against the best of the best.
And do very well, I might add. I mean, you guys have always had some great success in skills and in STN.
Yeah, that's one of the big things. Like, I don't like to lose, and so I tell our students, I'm like, hey, if we're going to these, like, let's go to win. I want you to do your best, and I get they're high school students, and sometimes that's a little different, but hey, we're going up against the best. I think we're really good as well. So let's go show out. And we've done very well competing against the best in Texas and the best in the country, which is really awesome.
And it's awesome to see, because a lot of the kids that we get aren't competing with athletics. They aren't competing, maybe even with band. We have a few, but some of our kids, they don't get to compete in other places. And so it's really cool to get to see that, because everybody's a little bit of competitive deep down inside. I don't care who you are. And so to get to see that come out of a kid that never thought they'd play sports or never thought they'd get to channel that is really cool. And we've really seen some kids shine.
That's awesome.
Besides just doing classes and stuff, because we have, y'all have a full staff of how many teachers? It's
6 full-time plus our secretary.
Yeah, so 6 full-time teachers that y'all have that are working, but y'all also work really closely with the school district's public information office. So how do y'all balance like working? Because I'm sure there's other school districts out there in the country and across the state that are having to do the same thing, balance between teaching a class, but also producing videos and content for the school district itself. How do y'all balance that?
I mean, that's truly, I think, what sets our program apart across the state, is because I know a lot of districts, they don't look at the program as that can do both. They have their teacher who teaches audio video production, and then they have their communications staff. And, it works for them. But for us, we have a full staff and we do both, and it's great. So I kind of see my job is it's 50-50. It's overseeing the teachers and the students and making sure the curriculum side and the students are getting the instruction. But the other half of my job is, and I report directly to our communications and community relations executive director. So I couldn't do that without having a team underneath me. If it was just me, or if it was just Nathan, or even just the two of us, we couldn't do all the things that we do. The fact that there's 6 of us and we're able to divide and conquer, and okay, these teachers are doing this, and then a lot of times it's like, okay, the communications needs us to go shoot this video. Well, this teacher's in class, so can you go do it? So, I mean, it truly comes down to a team, and having a team that we can all work together. We have great chemistry. We have a great community, I feel like. And without that, we couldn't do what we do.
Yeah, I mean, we're not teaching 6 classes at the same time all together. So, if one of us doesn't have a class, then we can go out and we can handle some of that communications side of it, or vice versa. Or if the teacher that's teaching really needs to go do it, then we have a teacher that can cover that class, and they're not going to, it's not just a random sub that's coming in. It's someone who knows what they're doing, and class is going to continue as normal, and they're still going to learn the things they need to learn that day. So that's really one great thing about having so many of us. We're busy all the time, but we can also kind of cover each other and help out, and students are not really going to miss anything at all.
And so talk about y'all's, practicum students. Yeah, a lot of times y'all even have practicum students go out and shoot some B-roll or whatever else for community relations, because they're actually employees of LISD TV at that point as part-time. And I know that y'all hire some. You'll have some that go out elsewhere, but there's a few that y'all hire within. So by having those practicum students, do you think that helps y'all or helps the student, or do you kind of explain that process of how y'all use those practicum kids?
For sure. So, we kind of see the practicum courses, they're working for us. Their job, they have their own show. Their job is to produce content for their show. And of course, there's instruction that comes along with it, and they're in the class as well. But they've kind of taken, especially this year, they've really taken ownership of their show, and they've made it what they want to make it. And they go out and look for stuff that's going to be in the show. I had a student this week that went out and shot a performance at Monterey, and last week they recorded Theater Alive for us. So especially some of those events that are after hours, so that the staff doesn't, have to work after hours. It's really nice to be able to send students to those events so they can continue practicing their skills, but also, get some extra work and kind of get a glimpse of like, okay, if they're going to go work for a TV station, this might be what it's a little bit like.
Yeah, I mean, our whole purpose is for students to be able to get hands-on experience so they can leave here and they can get a job. I know how to shoot video. I don't need to go and prove that I can. I mean, I've done that. And so I want the students to be able to have that chance. And when they leave our program, to have a demo reel and for it to be really good, and for colleges or potential employers to look at that and say, okay, yeah, I can tell you know how to shoot, you can edit, like you've got all these skills, and you're 17, 18 years old. Like we're ready for you.
Speaking of your students getting the skills and leaving, talk about some of the success stories that you guys have had with students in the past.
Well, I mean, Elizabeth is one of them. She
Right.
went through the program, and now here she is leading the program, which is fantastic. But when we've got students that are doing all sorts of things, we've got students who are creative directors at their prospective universities they went to. So went and got their 4-year degree, left, and now they're hired on by the university as a creative director for their TV program. We've got students that are working for numerous news organizations,
For sure.
in various different roles, reporters and editors and videographers and all sorts of stuff.
We have a student who works for the Cowboy Channel in Fort Worth. They literally pay him to fly all across the country to film rodeos.
Oh, that's cool.
We've got one right now who he's working with the ACC network, and he's traveling around the country doing college football with them. He's going to start college basketball soon. They're doing lots of really amazing things. We've got some, not just Elizabeth. We've got other students who have left, and now they're teaching as well. And so we developed some teachers that are teaching in TV programs similar to ours around the state, which is fantastic. I don't know. It's hard to think of everything.
We're going to forget somebody. So
Even guys like Mr. Grace here.
Yeah, well, you forgot me. Hello.
Also,
Absolutely.
Mr. Grace is an alumni of
Also,
Lubbock
Mr.
ISD TV.
I am, and it's like honestly, I would say the TV state, going through LISD TV actually made me want to teach. And it was before really ISD TV was teaching a bunch of classes. We actually did have it kind of separated out where we had a video production class at the ATC, but we were over at the Struggs building, and you was paid staff. And we'd have some students come in or whatever. And so, but as it grew, we moved over to the ATC. They've added onto the building, and we were able to hop in. And then that's when we started teaching people and started teaching the students. And that became a really awesome thing. I was like, okay, I really like doing this, because I was actually going to school at Tech for mass communications degree. And then I ended up switching my degree and going to LCU, Lubbock Christian University, to go to into education. And awesome. I ended up, because of my experience with LISD TV, it actually made me become a teacher. And people are like, well, why didn't you teach AV production? Because there wasn't a job open at the time. I could also do IT.
Our jobs are a hot commodity,
right?
Okay?
But I started teaching IT, and there have been other jobs that have popped up, but I enjoyed teaching what I'd done. I'd grown a program, so I stuck with it. But I got photography, so I teach photography, so that kind of gets my creative itch out. Yeah, it's close. Yeah. And I teach a lot of the kids that'll come to y'all eventually.
Yeah.
It's like, this is how you use a camera, Yeah. But doing stuff like this, even doing the podcast, this is where I got my background from, was starting with y'all. I still do sporting events with Texas Tech, and I've done some stuff with ESPN and Fox Sports, just like Nathan. Me and Nathan have gotten really close over the years. It's just been you can get so many opportunities from a great program, and y'all's program's great. Absolutely. And it's just,
we like it.
Yeah, right? The program's as old as me.
We've had employers tell us before that if they get a resume and they see 6 letters on that resume, LISD TV, I said that's all I need to see. That they know that they have the skills and the knowledge to start working there. And that's pretty incredible whenever someone who is in a hiring position at a local business, and that's what they tell us, is if they see LISD TV, interview's over. Like, it's all good. Like, hire them. They're ready to go.
It's a lot of pressure to make sure the kids live up to that.
It is.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
good standard, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal of all our programs, is to make our students desirable, and we've seen that through a lot of other programs as well. So I really love going down there and seeing y'all's wall of honor, all your students that are out working in industry. It's really pretty cool.
I didn't make that wall of honor.
It started after.
It started after me. No,
I'm not on the wall of honor either.
That is true.
And you're the boss.
I know, right?
Wow.
So maybe one day.
It's a thing to live up to. And anybody watching or listening to this, check out LubbockISD. What is it now?
So go to the Lubbock ISD website, LubbockISD.org. And then if you look under departments, you can find the Lubbock ISD TV page. We're also very, very active on social media. So on Facebook, X, maybe not so much X anymore. Facebook, Instagram, Threads. We post videos and content pretty much every single day. Don't hold us to that over the holiday, but every other day we post great content, both that students are making and are featuring students from across Lubbock ISD. And then on our YouTube page, we've got, I think we just had
1,000 videos on YouTube, which
I uploaded like
it's a lot, but doesn't sound like a ton. But we only started our YouTube page like 18 months ago.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've put a lot of stuff on there in the last year and a half or so, and so definitely a good place to go find content.
So YouTube is Lubbock_ISD.
And what's great is whenever the stream gets up going, you can even watch. This right here, our podcast here. CTE Podcast hops on there. So, but yeah, we appreciate y'all, and we appreciate everything you do for students and continuing the legacy that is LISD TV. And
All right.
Thanks for having us to talk about it.
Yeah, it's about time.
Thank you guys for watching and listening, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya. You can watch and listen to all episodes of the CTE Podcast on Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube Podcast, and LubbockISD TV.com.